We all know the rush of locking in a new goal. The vision is clear, the motivation is high, and success feels entirely within reach. But then, the environment changes. At the first sign of genuine friction, a missed deadline, a financial hurdle, or a sharp critique, most people abandon their aspirations. The excitement that fueled them simply wasn't built to withstand resistance. This happens because we rely on external validation and fleeting bursts of energy. We assume that the path will remain clear, making our progress dependent on circumstances we cannot control. When those circumstances shift, as they inevitably do, a resolve tied to the outside world breaks. Without a stable internal foundation, even a minor change in the situation can end a pursuit. This diagram maps the failure of a standard logic system when it encounters erratic spikes of external friction. It suggests that failure isn't a result of the challenge's size, but a flaw in how the system processes that pressure. To build momentum that cannot be stopped, we have to move away from external reliance. We must shift the entire weight of our drive to an internal conviction that doesn't react to the environment. Real progress is decided long before you take a physical step. It begins in the psychological landscape, where you determine exactly how much you are willing to endure. The first structural pillar of this blueprint is an unwavering belief in your own ability to reach the end. You have to finalize the outcome in your mind before the work begins. By treating the goal as an absolute certainty, you move from trying to executing. Once this internal intention is set, future obstacles lose their power to intimidate. They are no longer threats to your identity. They are simply technical requirements that need to be met. This foundational belief acts as armor. It allows you to navigate an unpredictable world without being derailed by every shift in the wind. Measured, grounded. Friction is an inescapable part of any difficult path. Expecting a journey without obstacles is a strategic error. If we look at this pushback as a mechanical necessity, the perspective changes. The resistance from the weight is the exact force required to increase the structural density of the shape itself. Failure, then, is a diagnostic tool. When a movement stops, it generates a data loop that identifies a specific point in your own structure that wasn't strong enough to overcome the load. This data proves that the previous effort didn't meet the full resource requirements of the task. It reveals that the intent wasn't yet wholehearted, meaning you hadn't yet applied the total focus and energy necessary to move the weight. By treating every setback as a diagnostic report rather than a defeat, you use your failures to optimize your next attempt. You turn your own resistance into the fuel for your eventual breakthrough. Maintaining this resolve over a long period requires a specific tactical approach. You cannot rely on high-intensity sprints to get you to the end. Most people fail because they try to make grand, exhausting leaps that they cannot sustain. When the initial energy runs out, they stop moving entirely. The key is to protect your psychology by focusing on daily consistency. You must decide that showing up is more important than the immediate scale of the result. This graph maps the power of microsteps. By committing to small, equal increments of action every single day, you ensure that movement never stops. These small actions bypass the brain's natural resistance to large, overwhelming tasks. You aren't climbing a mountain, you're just taking the next step. Over time, the volume of these actions creates a compounding effect. What started as a flat line of small daily wins accelerates into a steep curve of growth. This relentless consistency reduces the power of external variables. When you produce this much volume, the distance to your goal begins to shrink, until the gap between where you are and where you want to be eventually closes. The world and your circumstances will always be in a state of flux. You cannot wait for the perfect time to act, because it doesn't exist. The only thing you can make permanent is your own dedication. Your hard work and your intent are the only constants in an otherwise volatile equation. Success is the result of outlasting the friction. It belongs to the person who sees every obstacle and refuses to give up their ground. Stay in the arena until the job is done. You win not by being faster than challenges, but by being more persistent. Arise, take that next step, and do not stop until you have reached your goal.